Is there? No, but seriously, is it possible for somebody to be punished in that way and then to come back as a reformed character? That is a fairly rhetorical question.
I don't know enough about this, but I believe that if you're debarred, for example, as a doctor, you can't come back. I think if you're defrocked as a priest, there's no way back.
Is he back as a solicitor? Do you know?
I don't think he's back as a solicitor either. So I think we could look at being a political leader much in the way that we look at more honourable professions and say, if you've broken the professional codes that brutally, you can jolly well go off and do some other job.
We're back to the theme of who regulates the politicians and who regulates something like the ministerial code when you have somebody in charge of it, the Prime Minister, who breaks it and has a complete disregard for its contents. What you haven't got in town yet, Rory, is a gate. I mean, it sounds to me like this should be called Luthergate, because that's quite... Now, I'm going to... Look, we've had Partygate, we've got Beergate, and this is all the... I spoke at a conference in Italy a few years ago with Carl Bernstein. And Carl Bernstein, as you know, with Bob Woodward, they were the journalists behind the Watergate story in 1972. And Carl Bernstein's quite a good friend of mine. He's an absolutely top bloke. But he said something very interesting at this conference. He said, Watergate, without blowing my own trumpet, was probably the greatest newspaper investigation of all time. But it was the worst thing that ever happened to journalism. Because ever since then, journalists think that journalism is just about bringing people in power down. And that's all that good journalism is. And in fact, good journalism is about informing debate. And good journalism is about exposing wrongdoing, but it's not just that. And so the gate suffix has become one of those awful cliches of what I think is just very, very bad journalism. So I'm going to, before we get on to Beergate and Partygate, and I saw you were praising Keir Starmer on social media yesterday, can you remember the detail of any of the following? Drapergate, Indulgegate, Sherigate, Black Rodgate, or Mittelgate?
I'm afraid, unfortunately for you, I do remember Indulgegate and Mittelgate.